Right on time. It's weird. It's weird trying to make a show work and you're just one dude and you're trying to figure it out and you're not exactly sure how to do it. So I appreciate you guys sticking with me. Welcome to the OscopeWizard. I am Gabe, the OscopeWizard. And today is Tuesday, just after Memorial Day. It is May the 26th, 2020. Hopefully everyone had a wonderful Memorial Day. The weather here was pretty cooperative. It was pretty warm here where I live. And we got to grill yesterday, which is always a big thing on Memorial Day here in the US. Before I go too far, though, I want to talk about a holiday that happened in Germany last Baby Friday. I think they still call it Thursday in Germany. Baby Friday hasn't fully been embraced across the pond, but there's still hope. Last Thursday was Father's Day in Germany. Father's Day in America it's an okay holiday. It's something to get kind of excited about. Audio is lagging. Oh no, not my audio lagging again. You know what? I'm going to solve this real quick for audio lagging. So, Father's Day in Germany. I had the great fortune of being in Germany a few years ago for Father's Day. Father's Day in the US, it's an okay Sunday. I mean, it's a big Sunday. Everybody makes a big deal about their dads. But in Germany, all the dads get on bikes and spend the entire day going from beer garden to beer garden, and it is a lot of fun. I was very impressed and highly recommended, and I wish that we would adopt such awesome customs over in the US. First of all, we probably need to set out a beer garden infrastructure here in the US, so that's going to take 150, 200 years. Once we get that all sorted, we are going to need to make biking a lot more prevalent. So another, let's say, 1,000 years, so 1,200 years from now, we can mimic the Father's Day experience in Germany. In Bavaria specifically, I don't know if the rest of Germany makes it such a big deal, but hey, it's an awesome time. It's an awesome time. Another cool thing that happened is I got, this morning, this really cool bracelet. One of my junior Oscope wizards made it for me, my daughter. She created this bracelet this morning. Just this morning she made this. So it's summer vacation. We're looking for edutainment activities here at the house to keep everybody entertained and hopefully getting smarter, at least keeping their hands busy. So that is it's a big thing that we are looking for this summer as school ended last week. Let's see. U.S. Father's Day was a family day. German Father's Day, yeah, that's a guy's night out. Basically, it's a guy's entire day out. That's what the chat is saying, and it is very true. So, the quest. We are doing a quest. Thank you so much. This is episode 3 of the quest to build an audio amplifier that is a Sonos-style audio amplifier. Sonos is an audio company that makes a really fancy audio amplifier. And if you remember from episode 1, I bought a broken one. It did not work. And so now I'm trying to build my own, as any good nerd would do so. Here's hoping. Here's hoping. Do my buttons work? Maybe my buttons don't work. Could be. Could be no buttons are working. That's okay. Let's switch over and begin at the beginning. I see that. We might have to mess around a little bit. Hold on. We're slowly but surely. This one. I think we're gonna do. Oh, hold on. I'm trying to change my video capture source so that my voice doesn't lag too badly. think it's going to lag a little bit. I apologize for that. Again, OscopeWizard, not the AV wizard. We're working towards it. One day I will have everything working, and it will be a Christmas miracle. Apparently not today, but one day. Okay. Oh my goodness. Now we got angels coming. Oh my goodness. It is like super fail. Super fail. We're hardcore failing. All right, now we're back on track, I think. I think we're back on track. Let's see. Oh, somebody asked, can they pre-order the bracelet? These bracelets are available for purchase. They are $1,500 a piece, and they have a 27-week lead time. But yes, please, you are welcome to pre-order it. And then somebody else in the chat didn't even know that beer garden infrastructure was a thing, but yes, beer garden infrastructure is definitely a thing, and we don't have it. We do not have it here. I think it began with monks, which wasn't a big thing in the U.S., but you know, there's still hope. There's still hope. There's time. We have time. Back to the quest. So today I wanted to do a few things. I wanted to eventually measure the noise on a power supply and see how the noise on this power supply. Let's see if I can get my mouse over here. There we go. Noise on this power supply going out to this output. But before I did that, I wanted to talk a little bit about power and data sheets and how this all works. So I have a couple of speakers outside that are 150 watt speakers. That is what I have on the side of my house to blast music into the ether and annoy my neighbors to no end, I am sure. But we spend a lot of time outside riding scooters, listening to tunes. A couple of months ago, I bought these, or actually last summer, I bought these speakers to put outside, to be outside, because I did have some speakers that were inside, pointed outside, and I got some complaints from the peanut gallery asking me not to rattle the floors, which seems like a reasonable request, not to rattle the floors on a Tuesday. Okay, so I will try not to rattle the floors, and before I get too far into this, I just realized I did not set my timer. And I do need to start my timer so that I can stay on time. So, in an effort to stop rattling the floors, there was a question, can I talk about what the input level is for the amplifier? I will actually talk about input levels a little bit, but when we get to the input versus output, right now, I want to talk about 150 watts. So I bought this amplifier off of eBay thinking that it was a 2x150 watt amplifier, which would mate up perfectly, presumably, with my 150 watt outdoor speakers. Now, when we pulled off the heatsink from the amplifier, we found out it was just one chip. One of these chips, to be precise. It is the TP3116D2 chip. If I go into the datasheet, which we're going to spend a little bit of time in the datasheet, I can see that at best, this particular amplifier is specified as a 2x50 watt into 4 ohm load. And another thing that I didn't notice was that the power level is specified at 21 volts. Unfortunately, for me, I can get my setup over here. I have a 12 volt power supply. If you can see my power supply that I have for this project was 12 volts, 30 amps. 12 volts, 30 amps. How many watts is a 12 volt, 30 amp power supply capable of? If we can remember our formula for power. Does anybody remember the formula for power? Oh, did I disappear? I just disappeared. I just realized I disappeared. I think I hit the wrong button there. Disappeared myself. Anybody? Anybody? I don't know how far we're lagging, but 12 times 30 We're getting there. Chat's getting there. 12 times 30 is the right equation. What is 12 times 30? Pi. Pi was an answer. Pi is incorrect. Pi is not right. Although pi is always a good number to throw out when asked a math question. But 360 watts is the correct answer. Voltage times current equals power. That's a very basic equation for electrical engineering. So 12 times 30, 360 watts. 360 watts would seem to be enough power to drive this amplifier because even if you go by the eBay listing, it's 2 by 150 watts, so that's 300 watts. So 360 watts would be plenty of watts to drive it. The data sheet, though, tells me that this little chip is only 2 by 50 watts. So it got me thinking, what is the power output capability of this little chip? And inside of the data sheet is specified a maximum power output of 100 watts into 2 ohms. I don't know many 2 ohm speakers. Most speakers, if I just show you this little speaker, this little itty bitty speaker that I have right here is a 4 ohm speaker. So this is the lowest resistance speaker that I have. Some really nice subwoofers, I believe, are a lower impedance, so maybe 2 ohms. But most full range speakers, like the ones that I'm hanging outside of my house, if we look at it, it says impedance 8 ohms. 8 ohms. So I have 8 ohm speakers, 150 watt, 8 ohm speakers. That means that this little guy is never going to drive it to 50 watts. It's never going to drive it to 100 watts. It looks like the best I could do is 30 watts into 8 ohms. And that is with a different chip, a chip that I don't have. I sent a note to the eBay seller and I said, hey, yo, what's up? Is this thing ever going to do 150 watts? Where did you get the 150 watts? The seller says they don't know. They just get the board from the supplier. So I'm on a learning quest. This is a quest. We're hitting some roadblocks in my quest to get really loud noise in the driveway. And it left me with some questions. So one, from the data sheet for the amplifier, I can see that 12 volts is not going to be enough volts to get the power output that I want. So I need more voltage. And perhaps the TP3116D2 is not the right chip to drive the speaker load that I want. So before I go too much farther, I notice further down in the data sheet, there's a little formula that specifies how to calculate the power output. So Texas Instruments has included this little formula, which is very helpful because I would have never figured this formula out. There's a bunch of power formulas. Power equals voltage times current. Another one is power equals voltage squared divided by resistance. Nowhere have I ever learned that P out is equal to R load divided by R load plus 2 times R source times V peak divided by 2 times R load. I don't know how that works. I'll trust them. You know, they've done the algebra for me. I can plug some numbers into this formula and get some pretty good readings. And on that note, I found a piece of software that I really like. It is called BlockPad, and it is very similar to software called MathCAD, MathCAD, which is a piece of software I used in college, and it helps me type into basically a text editor. I can type in formulas, and it'll work them out for me. So I thought, let's type this power formula in with some of the specs of the equipment that I have and figure out what, with 12 volts, so I know that my power supply that I own is 12 volts, 30 amps. So plenty of overhead, but V peak would be 12 volts. I know the R load from my speaker is 8 ohms. That's the impedance that I have for my speaker. I also know that our source is actually specified way back up here. Let's see if I can find it. It's going to be hard to find. Let's see if I can do a quick search. RS. Oh, where is it? I don't see it. I know the number. If I can't find it, I don't know why it's not highlighting for me. The RS, whoa, I'm getting 76. Maybe I have turned that up too high. RS is 120 milliohms. So that's what RS is. So let's type in the formula real quick. So R load is equal to 8 ohms. R source is equal to 120 milliohms. V peak is equal to 12 volts right now. Now I need to type in the formula. Let's see what chat's saying before I get too lost into the formula typing. I'm going to type, and let me read real quick. I do not know the matter and antimatter intermix formula. That one is a little bit beyond me. I do know the answer to life, the universe, and everything. Over the weekend, Little G and me finished a really classic sci-fi book called Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Does anybody want to know the answer to life, the universe, and everything? If you do, just you know, if anybody knows the answer to life, the universe, and everything, throw it into the chat. Let's see if you guys have read the book. This is like a book report. Okay, so V peak. I see there is some speculation on the antimatter matter mixture formula, but the answer to life, the universe, and everything is it's clearly 42. The trick in the book, if you haven't read the book, spoiler alert, if you haven't read the book, the answer is not the big deal. It's the question. The question. What is the question of life, the universe, and everything? That's where it gets tricky. So we have R load equals, okay, there we go. So okay, R load divided by R load plus 2 times R source times V peak squared divided by 2 times R load equals 8.48. All right, what does this formula tell me? It tells me that with an 8 ohm speaker and a 12 volt power supply, the best that I could hope for is 8.5 watts per speaker. Spoiler alert, I did hook this up to my outside speakers and it does get pretty loud, but 8.5 watts? That's not very impressive. That is not very impressive. If I go back to what I currently have driving the speakers, it is this old JVC component system with a tape deck. This whole quest started because my neighbor needs to borrow the tape deck. I would not have speakers outside though while my neighbor borrowed the tape deck, so now I have to build an amplifier to sit in while the neighbor borrows the tape deck. This is how my mind works. This is how the quest began. So we're on so many wild paths. But if I go to the last page of this datasheet user manual, it does have the specs for this guy. And we've looked at him before, but we're going to look at him again real quick. This guy, now I want to talk about datasheets a little bit more. Datasheets do have data, but they're also a little tricky because the marketing departments are involved in data sheets. So they, of course, they want to present all the data, but they also want to present the good data a little higher. And maybe the less good data, the more boring, mundane data, we're going to bury that in notes and addendums, and we're going to hide things a little bit. So one of the things I noticed was output power on this amplifier is specified at 80 watts per channel into 6 ohms. That's fine. 80 watts per channel into 6 ohms. Let's pretend real quickly. So these little 6 ohm speakers that came with the speaker, if I change my load, oh my goodness, I didn't mean to do that. Well, I don't know what I've done now. I've really screwed the pooch there. Probably going to complain quite a bit. Got it. Yeah, there is definitely an error. So our load will equal, instead of 8 ohms, let's make it equal 6 ohms. Let's see if we refresh this, if we can get an answer. Okay, so with a 6 ohm speaker, my little tiny amplifier that I have over here on the screen right there, that little guy right there, he could drive a 6 ohm speaker 12 watts. This says that the JVC could drive it 80 watts. One of the things I have, though, is a question about if this specification is true. The reason I say that is because the power consumption maximum for this JVC is stated as 125 watts. So if it can drive each channel 80 watts, 80 plus 80 is what? What is 80 plus 80? I go over here, I'm gonna wake this up. Can I type anywhere? 80 plus 80 is, in my head, I can do 80 plus 80 is 160. So if the amplifier can draw 160 watts, but the power supply can't supply power to 160 watts, it can only do 125 watts. Is the specification true? And I would argue that no, the specification is not true. The most that this amplifier could actually output is, if I go over, here, let's see. Oh my gosh.
5 minutes remaining.
5 minutes remaining. It is 5 minutes remaining. That's okay. We might have to run a little bit long because I do want to get a little bit deeper into this specification. Because it's very important to figure out how to decode data sheets. So 125 watts. This JVC is a Class AB amplifier. So at best, it is 80% efficient. So I'll do 125 watts times 0.8. That tells me that at best, the JVC can output 100 watts. That means it is 50 watts per channel. That's all it could do. So it can output 50 watts per channel into 6 ohms. The chip that I can have, the chip that I do have on this little amplifier board says that it can do 50 watts per channel into 4 ohms. So that means this one single chip is almost as powerful as the JVC outside, which is much bigger, this huge thing. All of that to be said, all of that to say, what I really need to do to increase the power output is change VP. That's the easiest number to change. So my R load, I can't really change. I already bought the speakers. So R load, let's see if I can change R load without deleting the whole thing. R load is equal to 8 ohms. That's what it is. It's 8 ohms. R source, that's the chip. The chip has 120 milliohms in R source. I can't change that. I am tied to this chip. V peak, that I can change. I could change this to 24 volts. Now I can get 33 watts into 8 ohms. Maybe. with this guy. Now it says that the most it can do is 21 volts and 4 ohms, 21 volts. Now why does it say 21 volts? I think it says that to do with the 90% efficiency. But if I do 21 volts into 8 ohms instead of 4 ohms, I get 25 watts instead of 50 watts. 25 watts is still pretty good. That is pretty high power. I really want more power. So here's what I did. I went and I bought a 24 volt power supply, $10, not bad. And I bought these other chips, so the TP3118. So I have the TP3116. I bought the TP3118, which is 60 watt audio amplifier. I bought 2 of them. So now, if I look at the TP3118, it can do 60 watts into 8 ohms, or 2 by 30 watts into 8 ohms. So if I do a single channel and I combine the 2 outputs, I get 60 watts, which is going to be more than twice the watts. It's also going to be more than the power output from the old JVC. So the JVC can do 50 watts into a channel. We're using the TP118, I can get 60 watts into each channel. So this is how the Quest changes. You know, you're on the Quest, you're trying to figure out how to get sound into your driveway, and you take a lot of turns, a lot of dips and twists, but eventually you will get there. So that, kind folks, is how to demystify a datasheet. Datasheets are tricky. Like I said, the JVC says it'll do 80 watts. Looking at the power supply though, it could definitely only do 100 watts at best. The eBay listing says that this is a 2 by 150 watt amplifier. The datasheet, on the other hand, says it's a 2 by 50 watt amplifier, with the caveat that you have to use a 21 volt power supply. And I didn't have any of that stuff. And this is how when you unravel the onion, you get so many different layers and so many different choices. And that is one of the things when you are engineering, and this would be systems engineering. So I'm trying to use different board components and put them together and make them work. You have to really carefully understand each component of your system to get the maximum efficiency or the maximum output or the maximum goal, whatever your maximum goal is. Mine was wattage to the speakers. You have to dive into the details, even if you think you can just buy a couple of pieces off the shelf and make it all work. So, Thursday, it looks like we will make some measurements. I had it all set up today, and we didn't get to it. I apologize. That's okay. That's okay. I have nothing but time. I have nothing but time. Thursday, this is what we will do. We will hook up the power supply to the amplifier. We will use my handy dandy differential probe to measure the output of the speaker. We will measure the input noise on the power supply. We'll figure how much noise is transferred from the power supply out to the speaker. And then we will do a Bodie test to figure out how flat the output response is. And we'll talk a little bit about what that means when it comes to the sounds going into your ear holes. I'm gonna hang around a little bit on the chat to see what you guys think. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me and taking one step further on the quest, even though if today was a little bit boring looking at data sheets. But man, I was really confused on how they got 150 watts by 2 from a chip that at best could do 50 watts by 2. Okay, well, it has been a great day. I will see you guys on Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Take it easy. Talk to you later.